Thank you very much. Good to be here. I have the pleasure this morning, we've got about an hour. I'm going to take you through some of the technology behind what Judson talked about, kind of connect it to a number of customer scenarios, and we're going to do 4 demos. So we're going to spend a lot of time actually looking at product. Before we do that, just to kind of type, so this is a great frame that Judson has set up for us, and I do think that it kind of covers the spectrum of the opportunity that our customers have in front of them. Let me lay out a scenario for you, talk a bit about the auto industry and use that as a kind of a setup for what we're going to talk about. You know, the amount of transformation that's happening in that industry, I think, is emblematic of what we're going to see across every industry. And it really is stunning. If you think about auto manufacturers today and for the past 100 years, they've been in the business of managing a supply chain, building cars, distributing those cars through dealer networks. Customers come into dealers, they purchase cars, they use them for the useful life of the car. And we are on the brink of a fundamental reimagining of that entire industry. I came here today by taking out a phone and calling a car to come pick me up and bring me to this location. And we will soon have self-driving cars. Auto manufacturers today are working on what does it mean in a world where you don't need to own a car individually anymore, but rather we're providing a service. We still need to build automobiles, but the nature of our business will change from delivering through dealer networks to providing a service, providing riding services effectively to individuals. And as I said, you know, this is one example. Industry across industry across industry at different paces. We're seeing transformation occur at industry levels. But it's not, you know, industries that change themselves. It's really the companies in the industries that have to transform. And actually, it's inside of a company, the business processes have to transform. That transforms companies, which eventually transforms industries. And the question is, how do you do that? You know, how do you take your business and fundamentally reimagine it? And I think Judson did a great job of setting up that you don't do it all at once. It's not a big bang transition. You pick off opportunities in a stepwise manner, and along the way, all of that collective work adds up into something that is fundamentally different. And at the core of sort of what makes it possible is software and data. You know, it was software that I used, frankly, this morning on my phone that allowed me to call a car to come pick me up. It is a fundamental transformation in the relationship that an auto manufacturer in that particular case will have with the customer. It's no longer a disintermediated dealer interaction, but rather it's a direct engagement with the consumers of the service. The product's fundamentally transformed. It's not just selling metal, it's selling a service. The amount of engagement and information I can get back through that kind of product offering is fundamentally different than I have through a disintermediated multi-step supply chain. The ability for me to optimize my operations, the way I think about the software that I use to manage my operations, again, fundamentally different. We're still going to use supply chain automation software to sort of get the factory and the supply chain right, but now we need new systems that allow me to pre-position cars based on what I know will likely happen as people pull their phones out at certain times of the day, based on the weather, based on other information. And so all of these processes backed by software, and as we'll really dig into today, data, allow us to go change the nature of companies and as a result, industries all up. So let me talk about Dynamics 365 then. So Dynamics 365 is our software offering. It's a collection of services, applications, both mobile and delivered via the web, that allow our customers to go on this journey with us. Prepackaged applications across a number of disciplines. And as I said, we'll demo 4 of those today. But let me give you a little bit of insight into our strategy, what we're trying to do here. And we have approached the market quite differently than we've looked at business applications in our industry historically. The first thing that we've done is to move from a world where you've got sort of big monolithic suites, CRM and ERP, into a world where I can go adopt individual applications. So I drill into that a bit. You know, in the past, we had this pretty solid, bright line between CRM and ERP, front office, back office, the systems of engagement for customers and the systems of operations or of record for the back end of my company. But as a business leader, I certainly, and I know I'm assuming most of you don't view your business like that. If I'm going to spend money to run a marketing campaign and generate leads, I want to eventually collect the cash. If I'm going to be in a sales situation promising equipment to a buyer that I care a lot about, I want to understand my inventory posture to ensure that I can deliver once I make that sale. And so we think about our businesses and we operate our business holistically, and yet historically we've had these siloed systems. And so the first thing that we did with Dynamics 365 is to bring that together, to look at what we have traditionally called CRM and ERP as one unified set of capabilities. And yet we've also disaggregated that combined unified offering into a set of individually selectable services. So you don't have to rip and replace if you had a CRM system. You don't have to forklift upgrade an ERP system in order to go on the digital transformation journey. If you simply want to change the way your field service operation works, if you want to think differently about the way you provide customer service, we give you the opportunity to do that through these incremental investments that work with what you have. The second thing that we've done, and it sort of follows from what I just said, is to unify the data, to harmonize the data beneath all of these systems. And as you'll see, it's beyond just Dynamics 365. In the past, one of the challenges was I had these big monolithic suites that were siloed, and the data was siloed as well. And so it was very difficult for me to get a holistic view of what was happening in my operations. And sort of core to the digital transformation journey is the ability to look across left to right and to understand what's happening from the front all the way to the back. And so with Dynamics 365, all of these applications are built atop a shared data model. Whether it's front office, back office, customer service, or inventory management, the data is harmonized and related. But it doesn't stop with Dynamics 365. In addition to that, we bring in data from Office 365. And so your productivity information, your meetings, your contacts, your calendar items, we bring in data from LinkedIn. So not just within your company, but taking advantage of the social network and the connectivity outside of your company. And then finally, this is an open platform. So we provide the opportunity for our partners who build applications to bring their data into the mix and to relate that data with the data already present in our customer environment. And so bringing all of this data together gives us that ability to do a lot of things. One of them is to look left to right and to provide great insight into the operation of the company. But then it also provides this valuable pool of data that we can use to train AI models, the ability for us to learn and to predict. And so it's fuel in many ways for these transformed systems that we'll look at today. The last thing, the three key differentiators or ways that we think about business applications is this move away from complexity of customization, of extensibility that's different across all of these various systems. You know, you had a complex model for ERP, a complex model for CRM. If you wanted to make changes, it was difficult. It required professional developers. You had to learn different systems for each one of your applications. And what we've done with Dynamics 365 is to put beneath the Dynamics 365 applications a common platform, both on the data side as we just discussed, but also on the extensibility side. So if you look at Power Apps, Microsoft Flow, Power BI, family of connectors that we have, even to get you to systems that aren't Microsoft systems, we give you this foundation that allows you to go tune the system to the individual needs of your business. There's not always an app for that, if you will. And in fact, there never is for your particular business and set of business processes. That's what makes every company unique. And so with Dynamics 365, we give you this rich foundation to allow you to extend, customize, really make it your own. So over the next, 45 minutes or so now, we're going to go through 4 specific Dynamics 365 applications. We're going to talk about sales, we're going to talk about retail, talent, and field service. And to get us kicked off, I'm going to ask Doug Campbell-John, who runs product for all of LinkedIn's sales solutions, to join me on stage.
Hey, James.
So Doug, it's good to see you. I think we did this last time in New York.
We did.
2 weeks ago. So Doug has a really cool job. He gets to go around the world and spend a lot of time and energy with sales organizations, understanding what's changing in the sales process across a lot of industries. What have you learned out there, Doug?
Well, sales is definitely changing. I can speak as a buyer of products and services myself. You know, 10 years ago, if you had cyber-stalked me before a meeting, I would be a little creeped out. Now I'm kind of annoyed if you haven't. If you don't come into that meeting actually having done your homework on who I am and who my company is, you know, I'm getting a little peeved at you. Second is that, you know, I think we've all developed this radar for automated emails, for cold calls. I think that things now have to be a lot more personal and usually come to me through a warm introduction. That's going to be much more effective to get to me. And then finally, I think I realize as a buyer and seller of services is that that decision-making has spread from the kind of highest individual in the organization to a much more decentralized thing where there's a lot more people in the buying committee.
Yep, makes sense. And so what have you built, taking all of this into consideration that you offer out of LinkedIn?
Yeah, so LinkedIn, I run a group called Sales Navigator, which is the best version of LinkedIn for salespeople. There's really 3 value propositions we talk about. It's how do you target, how do you understand, and how do you engage? So on the target, we're taking LinkedIn's 500 million plus member pool, tens of millions of companies, and giving you the most powerful search filters to be able to find that next best customer or that next best lead. On the understand side, you know, one of the things, I'll take an example of a job change. It's one thing to know that somebody got promoted or somebody's had a birthday, but when you marry the LinkedIn data with the CRM data, to know that that key decision maker just left the company, that's something we call a money alert. We want to know about that right away. And then finally, it's how do you engage? As I said, I want a warm introduction. So how do we, in Sales Navigator, we not only take your LinkedIn network, but we combine it with the network of all of your salespeople and even all the people in your company to help you find that best path in.
Got it. And so is there an example that comes to mind of a company that's adopted Sales Navigator and had success?
Yeah, well, we have thousands of them. We've actually done a number of these ROI case studies now, so we can actually measure hard ROI for the usage of this the product. You know, one, for example, is New Voice Media, company in Basingstoke, England, leading provider of cloud telephony solutions. So they actually did an interesting test where they A/B tested. They had people who were just using free LinkedIn and people who were using Sales Navigator in their sales process. They found that the people who were using Sales Navigator, kind of randomly spread amongst the sales team, went from a 15% close rate to about a 25% close rate. Wow. The people using Sales Navigator. Those people were getting higher deals. And in the first 6 months of using the solution, they could directly attribute over £3 million of revenue.
Wow, fantastic. Great, thank you very much, Doug.
Good to see you, thanks.
Yep. Thank you. And so let's extend from there. So one of the things that we've done that I think is pretty exciting is to take that goodness of LinkedIn and actually to infuse it into Dynamics 365, taking that social graph, that signal, that information, and landing it inside of the systems that a sales organization can use every single day. And ultimately, transforming what has historically been there's a term that I think is kind of funny, transforming what has historically been a system of oppression in many ways with CRM, to a system that really does help you understand what you should do, and a system that people want to use. And so we've moved from things like, what's my list of leads or opportunities, to which opportunities should I pay attention to and why, and what can I do about it? We've moved from who are my contacts to who might I know that knows someone at the account that I can call that can help me in this particular engagement. So this infusing of social information, relationship information into the sales process has been enabled by this. And Eric's going to show this off, specifically how we use Dynamics 365 and LinkedIn at Microsoft.
I most certainly am.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. So I'm going to show you how at Microsoft we use Dynamics 365, LinkedIn, and Office 365 to enable our Microsoft sellers to sell more effectively. Historically, our sellers used to use CRM, email, and social media as really systems of record where we were really capturing data versus driving intelligent actions. But today, with Microsoft Relationship Sales, our sellers now have a system of engagement. It provides a 360-degree view into my prospects and pipeline and can help me determine the right actions to take to close business more fastly and network more effectively. Let's take a look. So, as a seller, one of the most important things for me to start my day is really get a full view of my pipeline. We've set some aggressive goals, but I can see right off the bat I have a shortfall of about 500,000. So I need to take action on this gap. So when I come into my opportunities, I don't historically see like what I would have used to, my opportunities, my estimated close, my estimated revenue. I now see what we call the relationship health. This takes into account not only the quality, but the quantity of engagement with our customer. So taking these opportunities and giving them a health score. Well, I can see I have an opportunity set to close real soon, and it needs some attention. So as I drill into that opportunity, the first thing I notice is this thing's about to close, but I'm still sitting in the develop stage. But I've also had sent some information to my primary stakeholder at this account, Mick, and I have not yet received a response to this email. So I have this opportunity with Arsenal, and I'm trying to get this thing moving along, but I've not yet received this response. So the relationship assistant is looking into the responses from that customer and proactively telling me what is happening with these interactions with this customer. So because we've not yet received a response, I need to leverage my network to try to nudge this deal forward. So using the integrated power of LinkedIn Sales Navigator within the context of Dynamics 365, I now can have all the information about Mick, but also the connections I have in common with Mick. I see several personal connections related to Mick, but I also see, through what we call Team Link, individuals at Microsoft who I may or may not be connected with who also have a connection with Mick and may have done business with him in the past. So I'm going to leverage this and ask David, in this case, to help me nudge this deal forward and get an introduction to Mick to see if we can make some progress. So I'm going to type David a message saying I have a stalled deal and I need his help getting the following content in front of his connection, Mick Canetta. Well, rather than simply sending an email with a bunch of attachments, I'm going to leverage Point Drive. So Point Drive is this amazing experience that allows me to tailor content that is of most interest to this customer and create a unique pitch of documents, websites, images, and even videos, tailored, again, to the message that I want to land with Arsenal in this case. So I can simply click to get this link, go back to my email message, paste that, and send this along to David, so hopefully leveraging his personal relationship to get this information in front of Mick. Well, let's go back to Point Drive. The beauty of using Point Drive is beyond just making it very easy to create this rich content and share with, to make it easy to share with the contact, I also get interaction history. So by simply clicking on Stats, I'm able to see the content that has been most viewed. I'm also able to see the individuals who have viewed this content. So this enables me as a seller to fine-tune my pitch, as well as understand who the stakeholders in this deal are. So, like most sellers, I don't stay in the office all day long. So what I do is I start on my mobile device. One of the first things I do is I launch Outlook, check my emails, and see what's going on in my business. Well, great news. I've actually received an email from Mick. Mick's, dear Eric, David has shared the information on relationship sales. Fantastic. He's very interested in these new capabilities. Can you please send us a proposal to get the ball rolling? Well, within the context of this personal email, I can leverage the Dynamics 365 add-in to bring business data directly into this context. I can see the information about the opportunity. I can see I have Mick, who I've had these relationships with, but he's also added 2 new colleagues into this email. I can simply take some action to add these individuals into the organization so I can capture the interaction history with these customers moving forward. So allowing me to build my profile of the account and capture this interaction. Well, let's actually get to the task at hand. He wants a proposal. I want to get this deal done. So when I tap on the opportunity at the top, this will launch the Dynamics 365 mobile application, bringing the richness of all of my sales information to me on my mobile device. So as I come into that opportunity, again, I see we're in the develop stage. I had a quote that I had started to prepare for this deal, but leveraging the rich Office capabilities right on my mobile device, I can seamlessly take all of that data from Dynamics 365 and generate a proposal and remain productive on the go, on my mobile device, getting this deal booked and done as soon as I can to meet that shortfall that I had in my pipeline. So, leveraging Dynamics 365 with the integrated power of LinkedIn, Azure, and Office 365, Microsoft has seen a 15% increase in our seller productivity. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. So one of the recurring themes that you're going to see after each one of these demos is data, the power of data. It really is data and the ability to analyze that data that brings these scenarios to life. That's what's different. I mean, I think if you look back over the history of business applications, by and large, they're relatively unchanged. If you look at a green screen client server or SaaS-delivered ERP or CRM system, they kind of look the same over the years. But what's changing now is data and the ability to predict and to really change the business processes, not simply record the data. In this particular case, we brought information together from Office 365, from LinkedIn, from across a wide variety of systems in order to change the nature of the application itself. Instead of just recording what happened, we're helping guide you to the next best step to take as a salesperson, and that changes the nature of that business process in a fundamental way. Now, we've also created a special offer. As of July 1st, we will make available Microsoft Relationship Sales, which combines the power of Dynamics 365 for sales with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It's available at a price that is about half what you would pay for a competing offer that includes both sets of capabilities. And so a great time to go attack that particular business process and begin your digital transformation journey. So let's shift gears now and let's move from sales to talent management, human capital management. Again, this is a category that is as old as business is, or at least computing in business is. Historically maintaining payroll and filling out your government paperwork and ensuring that you're signed up for benefits. We've reimagined this capability and introduced something called Dynamics 365 for Talent. Again, moving from a system of record where I'm maintaining information about my process, to a system that fundamentally changes the way I find talent. Moving from which candidates have applied to who should I go proactively reach out to in order to bring them into my company for the opportunities that I have. We've moved from why can't I seem to get ahead as an employee to here's exactly what you need to do and here's what others have done in similar positions to advance their careers. And so empowering employees, empowering hiring managers, and empowering the recruiting organization to really change the nature of talent acquisition and development, but doing it, again, as with all of these services, in the context of what you already have. If you've got an HCM system, fantastic. We can go change the way you find talent. We can go change the way you onboard that talent. And so we can meet you where you are and yet bring the power of data and intelligence to parts of your business process and sort of bring you along on the journey. And so Lydia's here to talk more about Chemonics and how they're using Dynamics 365 for Talent.
Brilliant. Thanks very much. Morning, everyone. I'm really excited to introduce you to Dynamics 365 for Talent. So let's talk a little bit about Chemonics. Chemonics are a worldwide organization who deliver social impact projects in developing countries. They deliver some really meaningful, worthwhile projects in over 80 countries, And associated with that is some complex recruitment requirements. It's quite challenging to find the right candidates, put them on the right projects in the right place. So let's talk a little bit about how Dynamics 365 and LinkedIn Recruiter are helping Chemonics to manage those recruitment requirements. So I'm going to look at it from two scenarios. First of all, as a recruiter, and then as a hiring manager. So I'm starting off as a recruiter, and today I'm trying to find a new individual to work in a project in the Dominican Republic. I'm looking for an accountant, and my requirements are international accountancy experience, the ability to speak Spanish, and I need them to be able to work out of the DC office. So I've jumped straight into LinkedIn Recruiter, and we can see on the left-hand side, I've recorded my requirements for this position. So typically at Chemonics, we will use LinkedIn to interact with candidates, find out about their skill set, and if we think they're going to be a match, encourage them to apply for a position. So I've done that, and we can see here we've had a number of candidates interact with us, and we can actually see that we have one who's already responded and is open to new opportunities. So that's how I would manage it as a recruiter, but as a hiring manager, typically, if I want to find out what's going on with the recruitment project, I'm going to have to pick up the phone or send an email to the recruiter. Who are you speaking to? Can you tell me where we're at with the stages? Is there someone I can meet yet? Using Dynamics, I can find out all of that information directly within Talent. So we can see on screen here, I've got a number of applicants who've applied. I can see their stages, and it means for me, I've got a really transparent and clear understanding of where we're at with that project. So I want to understand a little bit more about Cameron. So I'm going to jump into his record to see if I can find out more about his application. So we can see on screen here within Dynamics, we're actually at the point where we're ready to bring him in for an interview. But actually, before I do that, I want to know a little bit more about him. So again, still in Dynamics, what I'll be able to see now using LinkedIn integration is his full LinkedIn profile directly within the system. So I can see here the experience that he has, the education that he has, and it looks to me like he's actually going to be quite a strong candidate for this position. Furthermore, I can see his CV and any other documentation is shared directly within Dynamics. So it means I have a really clear understanding of who we might be interviewing, and for me, he looks like a match, so I'm going to go ahead and invite him in for an interview. So first of all, I want to suggest some dates to him, and this project's going to start at the beginning of July, so we really need to get on with interviews. So I'm going to suggest a couple of dates to Cameron, and what that's then going to do is it's going to push out an invitation to him. He can log into Dynamics, and he can see the options and choose the one that fits him best. Once I've done that, I'm going to choose my interview team. And in this case, there's 4 members of the team that I want to meet with Cameron. And I want them to actually meet him in the order on the screen so that he meets the right people at the right time. Once I've confirmed my team, it's just time to start scheduling the interview. So we've heard back from Cameron. He'd like to meet on the 28th. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up 4 individual interviews, one after another, so that everyone can really find out who Cameron is, what makes him tick, and they can individually decide if he's a match. Furthermore, if anyone wants to meet him online because they can't get in face-to-face, I'm going to add some Skype details. What would normally happen now is I'd have to pick up the phone, I'd have to say, can you give me access to your calendar? Can you tell me your availability? And it would really be back and forwards. But actually using Office 365 integration, Dynamics is going to go away, look at their calendar, check their availability, and it's come back and suggested 4 slots, one after each other, that suit all of the interview team on the date that I've asked for. So it's removed a whole load of effort for me, and it's also sort of guaranteed that I can see their availability without having to jump into another system. So I'm going to go ahead and invite the team, and what that actually does is it pushes out invitations to their Outlook, and they can manage it like any other calendar invite. They can then see if they're available, respond, and those responses will be pushed directly back into Dynamics. So I can see here 4 responses directly into the system, 3 acceptances. We've had 1 decline, but that might be a separate issue, so I'm going to take it offline, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to schedule the interview, because I really want to get on with people meeting Cameron. So I can now start to share that with Cameron. I'm going to provide him with a little bit more information, and this is then going to push out of the system, and again, Cameron's going to get notified he's had more information, And it means before he turns up to the interview, he knows exactly who he's meeting and where he's meeting them. So on the day of the interview, it's really important to me as a hiring manager to get my feedback from the team. So directly within Dynamics, they can come in and record notes about the interview, what their feedback was about Cameron, what were his strengths, what were his weaknesses. And then finally, they can give a recommendation about whether they think he should be hired. So meeting him, he seemed like a fantastic candidate, definitely someone that we'd want to hire. We can actually see here now all four members of the interview team have responded, and they all think he was fantastic. And one of the really good things about Dynamics is we're all busy, we're all moving around, we all have different sessions. We don't have to come into the main system to give that feedback. If I'm jumping in a taxi between meetings or interviews, I can use the mobile app or the tablet app to give that feedback in real time. And it just makes it a little bit more easy to get the feedback from everyone so that we really understand whether we should be hiring Cameron. So it looks to me like he's been a fantastic candidate. He's definitely a match. Let's go ahead and offer him the job. So I'm going to advance the stage. I can put together an offer for Cameron, and then I'm going to prepare that. So once Cameron has accepted that position, we really want to get on with onboarding. And in Chemonics in particular, there's lots of processes that we typically need our employees to complete before they can actually start in a project. So things like certification, tasks that they need to complete. And historically, that would mean sending lots of emails to Cameron, chasing him, checking that he's completed the tasks, back and forward to make sure we actually know whether he's ready to start. But in Dynamics, we can come in, choose our start date. So he's going to join at the beginning of July. And what I can then do is access templates that we've built to guide Cameron through all the tasks he needs to complete for onboarding. So I'm going to choose a template, and that means I'm going to get sort of a basic profile for him to work from, but I can personalize it for him. So I can come in, I can put some kind of welcome message for Cameron, and we can have an out-of-the-box welcome message, but then tweak it for each individual candidate to personalize it. I can then come in and put activities in. So as you can see, we've got a template of tasks we'd expect him to complete, but we need the ability to tweak that to make sure it's appropriate for Cameron. On top of that, before he joins, it would be really helpful if he could understand who are some of the people in the organization, who is he going to work with, who might have done his position, an accountant in another project, so he can then find out what success looks like at Chemonics. And on top of that, maybe there are some people he's met before in previous work experience or education that now work for Chemonics that it would be good for him to interact with. So I can set all of this up in Dynamics. And if we click on Preview, we're going to be able to see what it would look like for Cameron. So Cameron can log into this with his personal email before he joins. He can come in, see the tasks that we talked about, use LinkedIn to start to interact with those other members of the team I've set up. And then once he's joined, he's completed a certain number of tasks, he's ready to start the project, using his corporate email address, he can then access more content. So we can restrict it that the information he sees before he starts the project and before he's an official employee is different to what he sees once he has joined. So for Cameron, he's got a really great start, he's interacting with people, and for me as a hiring manager, it's really easy to track his progress. I don't have to keep contacting him directly to find out how close we're getting to being ready to start in that project. So Cameron joins the team, he works in the project, it's all really successful. What we like to do in Chemonics is then come in and find the talent that we've already hired and allocate them to other projects. So using Dynamics, we have one profile for Cameron that takes information from Dynamics, LinkedIn, and from Office 365, and it builds one profile. So we can see his skills, we can see the development that he's completing, and that means it's really easy to have one version of the truth about Cameron so that when we're completing other projects, we can pick the right candidate to come in and work as part of that project. So using Dynamics 365 for Talent, LinkedIn Recruiter, and Office 365, we've been able to manage finding the right candidates, onboarding them, and developing them. Thank you.
So it's back to data, right? Data beneath LinkedIn, Office 365, Dynamics has allowed us to fundamentally changed the nature of talent management. Whether you're using a HCM system today or an applicant tracking system, you likely, as an organization, have administrative capabilities that allow the HR organization to sort of track and maintain regulatory compliance, but there's this gaping hole that exists when it comes to actually engaging the candidate, finding the right candidates, making them feel part of the process. I can't tell you how many times I experience other companies, or even as good a job as we do, where candidates at Microsoft will say, I kind of felt a little bit disconnected. And this system, Dynamics 365 for Talent, allows us to deliver right to the candidate sort of a snapshot of exactly where you are in the process, who you're going to be meeting with, and it's all out of the box, and it was powered by data. So let's move now to retail. And this will be an interesting one. In all of the scenarios that we've looked at thus far, we've taken data from lots of different systems and created value as a result of bringing that data together. Retail, we do the same thing, but we also have a slight twist where we're taking data and we're using that same data across many different systems in order to maintain a relationship with a customer across the spectrum. And so we're moving from an environment where we have disconnected systems. If a customer comes online and purchases from me and then wants to do a return in one of my retail outlets, how do you do that? When a customer comes into a retail outlet and they've been engaging with me online, they may have a wish list, they've got a shopping history. How do I understand, as someone that's going to help this customer when they walk in the store, what the nature of the relationship is that we've already developed online? And so bringing these things together at Michael Hill is what Lydia's going to take us through now with Dynamics 365 for Retail.
Brilliant, thank you. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about retail. And we're going to talk about it from the perspective of Michael Hill. So Michael Hill are a worldwide jewelry retailer. They are multi-brand, multi-channel. And for them, their priority is to deliver a customer experience that changes from being transactional to personal. They deliver high-quality jewelry, and they expect to deliver a great service for their customers. So we're going to understand how, firstly, I, as a customer, can interact with Michael Hill to have a really great experience, and then how Dynamics can also help the sales associate. So let's start off with me as the customer. It's coming up to my mum's birthday, and I want to treat her. I've purchased jewelry from Michael Hill before. I've always had a really great experience with them, and I know my mum likes quality products, so I'm going to take a look and see what jewelry they have available that might be good for her birthday. I already have the Michael Hill app downloaded on my phone, so I'm going to jump into that and see if I can find something that she might like. So I've opened up the app, and the minute I jump into it, I can see some recommendations. My mum and I have pretty similar taste, so I can already see on screen some things that I think she might like. And actually, scrolling down, I can see a watch that I think that's definitely the match for my mum. She likes quality, she definitely likes diamonds, so I'm going to take a look and see if she'd like that. In the app, I can navigate through, and I'm going to have a look and see what watches are available. So I can see on here quite a few different watches, quite a few different price points. But as I said, my mum really will only wear quality, so I think it's going to have to be the second one down. I'm going to click onto that, and I'm going to see if I can find out some more information about it. The pictures look great. It definitely looks like it's her style. I can see more information about the product, but I know that my mum's quite picky. So before I invest quite a lot of money on a product for her birthday, I want to find out a little bit more information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop into store so that I can have a chat with the sales associate about the watch and find out a little bit more information. So what I can then do, I can go into a store, and how it works with Dynamics 365 for Retail is using beacon technology. The minute I walk into a store, it acknowledges that I'm there. I'm going to get a welcome message, and actually I can see I've got a personalized offer as well, which is fantastic because 20% off this watch makes it much more affordable, and I think it makes me much more likely to go and buy that watch for my mum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and have a chat with the sales associate to answer some of my questions. So as a sales associate, typically when a customer walks into the store, they don't know who they are, they don't know if they've purchased any products before, and they certainly don't know why they're walking in. So using Dynamics, the minute I, as the customer, walk in, the sales associate can pull up the record and then have a really clear understanding of who I am. So they can see who I am, what my name is, they can see my previous purchases, and they can actually see a wish list where I added the product from my mobile app. So they can jump into that, and it means the minute I walk over to them, they have a rough idea of why they're interacting with me already. So I, as the customer, get a much more personalized service as a result. So I approach the sales associate. I've got a couple of questions. Firstly, can you show me how big the watch face is? Because my mum's quite picky. But actually, I've got some questions about the spec as well. She likes to wear it when she exercises, so is the band waterproof? So the sales associate has all of the information that they need to be able to help me as I'm interacting with them. And it means we have a much more positive interaction. So I think this looks like a match. It's definitely something I think my mum would like. So I'm going to go ahead, and they're going to add it into the basket for me so that I can buy it. The minute they do that, it actually brings up another prompt. And this is prompting the sales associate to offer extended warranty to me. And they actually saw in the record that when I've purchased previous jewelry from them, I've bought extended warranty to make sure the product is, safe and I can maintain it. So this makes it much easier for the sales associate to have that conversation with me because they know it's something I'm likely to buy, which means I'm likely to buy it again. So we'll add that in, we'll extend it for 2 years. And actually, because I'm such a great customer and we're having such a great interaction, the sales associate thinks before she goes, let's see if there's any more opportunities to sell some more products to me. So what we can see on the right-hand side here is using Azure Machine Learning, Dynamics is suggesting products that I, as the customer, might like to buy as well. So I'm taking a look. The earrings look really nice. The customer, the sales executive can promote them to me. And actually, I really love my mum, and it's her birthday, so I think I'm going to go ahead and treat her. So that's been a success. So we can add those into the basket. And that's actually the end of the transaction. And what we can see here is we can see all of the products that I've chosen to buy. We can see the warranty's been added in, and the discount that I was offered on my mobile device has automatically been added to the transaction. So this is achieving what Michael Hill wants to do, which is move from transactional to personal. The entire time I've interacted with Michael Hill, I feel like they understand me, they understand what I want, and they've given me a really personalized experience. And that's all been achieved using Dynamics 365 for retail. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. We were joking backstage. I think her mother got some great gifts there. I'm reasonably sure her mother's first name starts with Lady. Yep. So again, data. If you look at what we were able to deliver here, it's sort of in contrast to what we did before. What we did before was to take a lot of data from different systems to create a transformed experience. Here, we've taken data and we've transformed multiple experiences atop that same data. And so because we've got that common data model to bring data in, join it, and then use it across many different systems, we've been able to stitch together the experience of the customer, of the salesperson, and really transform the nature of commerce. Pulling that data into the common data model, delivering it through Dynamics 365, really does transform the way we look at how we engage our customers in a retail setting. The last scenario that we're going to cover today is service, moving from a world where I'm holding on the phone for someone to help me, where I've got someone coming out to take care of an issue that I've reported and I need to block off 8 to 5 to wait for them to show up, into a world where it's far more engaging for the customer. Moving from who's available for this service call to who's the best person who's got the most capability to go deliver a great experience based on this particular service call. What's my 4-hour service window to where is my tech right now and do I need to run back home in order to meet them? We can deliver these experiences based on data, based on putting software in the hands of consumers through mobile applications, stitching that together through software delivered as a service. Sodexo is a customer of ours, and Eric is going to take us through how they're using Dynamics 365 for field service.
Thank you, James. So Sodexo is one of the largest facility management organizations on the planet, with over 400,000 employees providing quality of life services such as transportation, catering, and hospitality to more than 75 people worldwide, or 75 million people worldwide. Historically, they've had lack of clarity and insight into the performance of their individual service areas. But today, with Power BI, Azure IoT, and Dynamics 365, Sodexo has reimagined the way they service their customers. Let's take a look. So here in the Operations Center, Sodexo uses Power BI to pull data from Dynamics 365 and IoT to get an aggregated view of the performance at their client sites. So what we see is, right off the bat, a particular anomaly that has arisen due to the water flow at one of the sites. When I drill in to learn a little bit more about this anomaly, we can see that there are 4 different sites that we are uniquely monitoring the temperature and the water flow for the customers. But through predictive analytics, we've identified the potential for failure at one of their customer sites. And this is, again, based on the sensor data coming in. We can see that the temperature has been increasing at this site and the water flow has been decreasing. Again, this is predictive analytics, taking that data and saying, there seems to be a potential issue at this customer site. Normally, this is indicative of a leakage at the customer. So beyond just being able to visualize and see this data, this anomaly that we have detected because of IoT has automatically created a service alert in Dynamics 365. So all of that information being pulled from the IoT sensors is now passed directly into Dynamics 365 for field service and creates this work order. So the field service people in the organization have visibility now into the information that has come from the sensors, that we need to conduct a leakage assessment. They know exactly where this potential issue is at the client site. They know exactly the service that needs to be performed and how long that's going to take. Again, this is now bridging that sensor data with what we know in Dynamics to actually guide this organization through the actual service tasks that need to be performed. So this individual is going to be dispatched to conduct a leakage assessment, measure the pH, replace the filter, and ultimately confirm the water flow and get the signature. So all of this is being automatically created through the power of the Internet of Things and Dynamics 365. Well, capturing and automatically creating this work order, we now need to actually schedule the technician. So as I go to schedule the work order, the dispatchers within Sodexo have the ability to get a global view of the time and schedule of each of their technicians. I can see I have a technician with some available space, and I have this unscheduled work order about this specific issue that we just identified. I can easily drag that and drop that and schedule that for this potential user. So when I actually do that, that's going to enable me to schedule this for that technician and make it available for them. Additionally, now that I've scheduled that work order, I can also optimize the route for the technicians. I can see visually here where there are some unscheduled work orders, as well as the driving routes of these technicians. So I can simply grab this and alter this and drop it here. We've also sent a notification directly to the customer.
Dear Brady, we have detected a potential leakage due to the decreased water flow and the increasing temperature at mine site 1. We are dispatching our technician Jamie Redding to conduct a leakage assessment.
So remember, this is a proactive service. There is not yet an issue. We have identified this. We have captured the data. We have sent the information to the technician. And now we've notified the customer through an integrated voice response message that this technician is going to be dispatched to look at this issue for this customer site. So let's get back to the technician. So on the mobile device, the technician has all of that same information from the sensor data from Dynamics 365 for field service directly on their mobile device, so they know exactly the incident that they need to conduct, the hour and a half that it's going to take them, and exactly the service to provide. So we made it very easy for the organization to proactively address these issues, ultimately saving the customers revenue. Well, Sodexo also has a unique need within their organization. They operate services in some of the most remote most spaces on the planet. They service these mining facilities, and they have site managers that work at these areas, and they're responsible for the performance of each of their sites. So using Power Apps, we've been able to create an application for the site manager. This site manager, again, they're responsible for the KPIs and performance of their site and managing the quality of service that they provide to their customers. So right within this Power App, they get a view of the performance of how they're handling or how they're trending based on the transportation, the flights, maintenance, catering, etc. They also can receive a feed directly from corporate, because again, they're in very remote locations, to now know exactly what's top of mind from the company as they share information with their people out in the field. But we also notice here an alert right at the top of the screen. And this alert calls out that there's a quality issue. Well, this is of most importance really for this individual because they're responsible for the quality and the performance of these sites. We can see someone has logged a complaint related to the food temperature. This information is coming from Dynamics 365. They can see the map of where this location is, and they can go to investigate that issue. Using the native device capabilities on their phone, they can easily come in and capture some nice photos of exactly what that potential issue would be. So perhaps it's a problem with the heat lamp. So now I know exactly which heat lamp, I know the details. I can now send this back into my system so that my team can actually use Dynamics 365 for field service and dispatch a technician to address this specific issue. But I also see another alert. There is significant amount of turnover at these sites. A large number of employees are coming in and out every day, and they need to facilitate these services to this ever-growing population. To do so, they need to facilitate all of the services related to that coming and going of these employees. Well, I can see here that one of the flights that's coming in is delayed, and as such, I need to reroute a number of different services. So as the person responsible for all these services, I can see that I don't want the bus sitting there for over 3 hours. I can simply reschedule this, sending a notification to dispatch so that the bus can be more profitable to the customer servicing other areas. The customers are going to get in, they're going to miss breakfast. Not best to send them to work without some food, so I can send a notification to catering to deliver a supplement to these customers. And lastly, and probably most importantly, is let's notify their managers that they're not going to be there to start the day and they're going to be delayed because of this. So all of this information just being pulled together and provided to me as a seller. There is no app on the market for a Sodexo site service manager. So this is the beauty of Power Apps, of how in less than a week we took data from Dynamics 365 and all these other systems and built this unique purpose-built application to serve the need of this Sodexo site manager. So Sodexo has digitally transformed their business using Dynamics 365, Power BI, and IoT, which has resulted in over tens of millions of dollars of savings for their customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. So I want to hit on 2 points. So point number 1, I just want to punctuate what Eric closed out with. Power Apps, we didn't show the creation process, but it's a pretty phenomenal system. You've got the ability to create, when there's not an app for that, to create an application that's purpose-built for your company or your processes. Does it require writing code? It's a code-free environment. You can sit down with the people who are actually executing the business process and construct these applications. The tool looks a lot like creating a PowerPoint deck, except it's got interactivity and we've got built-in connectors to hundreds of systems, including Dynamics and Office. So very, very easy to put these applications together on top of your data, your systems, and deliver it out via mobile devices or via the web to the users that are going to go implement that transformed business process. That's number 1. Number 2, and this wasn't obvious in the conversation, but as we're pulling data into this common data service beneath Dynamics 365, beneath Office 365, and any partner application that's built alongside those systems, we've got a planet-scale cloud that permits us to hold this data, to ingress data from any point on the planet. We've got tools that allow you to analyze that data, to draw insights from that data, to predict what you might need to do. And I don't want it to be lost that Dynamics 365 is built on top of Azure, the world's largest, most regulated cloud that provides for this ability really to hold a limitless amount of data and to do it close to where your customers are. The ability to ingress data from cars, or in this case from IoT sensors on mining equipment. It's a transformational platform, substrate, infrastructure that makes it possible for us to go build these kinds of applications, and a critical part of what you should, I would suggest, evaluate when you're looking at business application vendors. And so in this case, we've taken not only business application data, but data coming off of things, coming off of sensors, and we've combined that into an application that allows you to, or allowed our customer to think differently about their core business process. How do we ensure that the employees at our customer, mine in this case, have exactly what they need in order to deliver great service? So that brings us to the end. We've looked at Dynamics 365. We've looked at several specific applications within Dynamics 365. And I think what I'd want to leave you with is this. We've seen it across the last couple of hours. Industries are in transformation. Companies are transforming. And it requires all of us to think about how we go on this digital transformation journey. And what we've tried to do with Dynamics 365, that I think is groundbreaking in many ways, is to deliver point-wise services against very high-value business process areas where you can start your journey. Doesn't require you to rip and replace what you have. You can take the systems that you already have and augment them with Dynamics 365 to really start to rethink process by process by process. And as you do that, transform your company and ultimately transform the industry that you compete in. Thank you very much.